is going to be suffering if you aren't working to make your life actively better, because no one out there is not working to destroy this country. Like, the majority of people out there don't give a fuck. They're just riding this thing into the ground. So you got to be ready to be like, well, I'm at least taking care of what I need to take care of and trying to look after the ones that
Because
matter
no
to
one
me. And I
cares
got my
about
shit in order.
fucking community. That shit has
Yeah, it's all
been
gone
dead
now.
for so
Everybody is,
long.
like I said, especially you look at the Zoomers, like their fucking generation of little, like their favorite thing. A lot of them, so many of them, like Rick and Morty, is like a big thing that clicks with this whole generation and this whole zeitgeist, because it's like, oh, everyone and everything you love and everything that you ever thought mattered, and in the biblical sense of the divine realm of creation and the heavens and the earth and things that are greater than man. It's like, no, none of that matters, man. We are in a postmodernist, cultural Marxist new age where there is no objective truth, beauty, nor God. So do what you want, do what thou will, to quote Aleister Crowley, because nothing matters. Everyone you know is just a clump of cells. Everyone you know is just a mistake or an accident from some chemical reaction that compels people to have sex, to birth people, and get married to make more. And there's no such thing as real, genuine love or real truth or anything in the world. And it's like, yeah, what do people think is going to happen when we go that direction? What do you fucking rubes think is going to happen? You think you're better than other societies that they got us here, and then we just are like,
Without a god or
it's
without
like your friend
morals.
give you the whole walkthrough for the game because you sucked at Bloodborne so bad, and then you're like, you get to the part where you're trying to become an enlightened one, and you're like, dude, I don't need your help finding the four umbilical cords. Like, fuck off. I got this far. Like, fuck you. Okay, fine. Okay, whatever. I'm washing my hands of you. See how well you do without me. And then you're going to get the floor is going to just be mopped with your ass.
Fucking
You are going to look like
trash.
such a chump to posterity and history because you think that you didn't subvert one of the most rock solid foundations of society that was ever created. It's all gone.
Society is crashing and burning. Fuck. But
And I don't want to be black-pilled, but these days I don't even find it being black-pilled. It's just being realistic, especially if you're a working man. If you're a fucking hard-working taxpayer, if you're dealing with this shit every day in America and what America is becoming, and you see that no one cares, like you would be a little concerned if you had skin in the game. If none of this concerns you, then odds are you don't have any real stakes in life. Or your life was shit before all this crisis, and now it's not much more different. Now everybody's just like, hey, everyone's life is miserable like mine. Awesome.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure
Really,
that's a
if
lot
you
of
had
people out there.
real stakes, this shit is like, we're going into the Great Depression. I don't even care about the virus. You shouldn't even be so much worried about that. Yeah, virus is real. It is out there. It could be bad, could be less than they say it is, possibly. That's why they're trying to play up the fear and hysteria to change everything. But what I think
You
is that
think
economically is what you have to be worried about. Economically, man, like,
you
we,
think the
this shit
virus
is
is
getting bad.
mostly hysteria?
So
Or
far, yeah, I mean, are your local morgues and your local hospitals filling up? Are people out there starting to see more and
yeah.
more cases? I'm not saying people aren't dying. There are a lot of people dying
Well,
out there. It
I
is
do have
scary.
family members that are that actually have it, but to be honest, I don't know. I think a lot of it is hysteria, but I don't think I think
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter now. The world has
the
changed. We are
fear is
moving
real.
into a new age. We just gave 20, I think it was like six, I think it was like $64 trillion or something into the stock market. We gave that to the banks. We gave that to the cruise ship. And like this bill that recently just passed, and again, don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourselves if you really care. I think we gave like an ungodly amount of money, just basically printed it out of nowhere, put us more in debt to the Fed, put us more into a deficit that we are never going to pay our way out of. If you have kids, or if you're going to, they will inherit the national debt, which is something like, yeah, to make the kind of money that they just put into the stock market to bail out all these
Most of it's
motherfuckers,
going to kids too.
it you would have to work for, I think I heard the number yesterday. It was like, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, but you have to work to make that kind of money. You would have to work and make $1 a day for 31,709 years.
Wait, are you talking about for how much money they put in the stock market?
Yeah, for how much just out of thin
Or
air,
not the stock?
out of the ether, just they type in a number and they put it into the market, and it's like
Oh, you're
it
talking about the
exists.
$1 trillion check?
We say it does. Man, it was more than that. It was like what they're telling the public is that it was $2 trillion. It was like something like 64 trillion to like banks and to bail out a bunch of cruise ship. But they're not telling people that because again, they want to disguise this as we're helping you, we're keeping you safe. There's an evil virus out there. It's going to kill everyone you love. Give us your rights.
Wait,
Give
so
us your
what are they
liberties.
bailing out? What are they bailing out of?
We're bailing out Boeing. We're bailing out the cruise ship industry. We're bailing out the yachts industry. We're bailing out the hotel industries. They gave
Hmm.
64 trillion to like banks, to a lot of like what we did in 2007 with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the bailout after it was the like
Wait,
right
so how?
before the
Wait, what are
recession
we
in
bailing them
2008.
out from? Because isn't it you have to bail out
This
someone
recession,
from?
the recession that we're in right now, that no one is
Oh,
going to hotels anymore, no one's flying, no one's doing anything. The whole economy has been put on pause. Everybody is done spending money. There is no money going in.
wait. So you're saying that? Because a lot of people are like experts, I guess, are all saying that that we're not in a recession yet. That we're
Yeah, they're going to
not.
tell you that. This is getting bad. People aren't working anymore. No one is buying things. The stimulus check, they're saying that that's what's going to pump into the economy. It's going to, like, people are going to buy things again. People are going to stimulate the GDP. People are going to buy products, buy TVs, buy houses, buy cars. But really, I'm hearing other experts say, like, that this isn't even going to help. It's like a band-aid over a festering, like, cavernous wound at this point. We didn't even, a lot of people say that the recession that we never came back from in 2008, the greatest recession since the Great Depression, and now this one is going to top both of them apparently, was just a paper tiger. The economy that we are riding so strongly on now was just the same economy from 2008 that we quite never recovered from its wobbly legs.
Hmm.
And now it's just been revealed that yeah, it never was okay, and now we are just completely seeing the truth of it all. A lot of people think that the economy was scheduled for a crash. That yes, the dollar was. I've been hearing my whole life that the dollar is going to crash, that everything is going to crash, and then maybe this virus is a way of quelling the public's panic as far as like everything is crashing. But if there's a virus in the midst, they'll think it's because of that, not just because oh shit, everything just crashed.
So I know you said earlier that that with the crypto and like the currency is gonna like how does that do you know if how that affects economies? Because you can't just bring up a number. Because I remember when they tried to switch the dollar to I remember I read this. It was like when they tried to switch the gold because gold was our currency, right? Do you know?
Yeah, back when everything was insured by gold, and before we switched over to the Fed and we got off the gold standard.
Yeah. So when didn't they just like didn't other countries thought it was like suspicious or something because you could just make up a number and put it on cash.
I know about as much about any of this as the average Joe, and that is just a bit more. But it just seems to me that way. It just seems like they can,
Yeah,
if
that
the
would
Dow
make
is
sense.
crashing, if it's too high, if it's too low, like they can just shut it off. And it's like, what? Like that's kind of
Yeah, I
weird
don't.
how we put a whole system of governance and an economy and a world of like commerce and capitalism and all these things where people think it's like such a bright, like glowing ivory tower society of riches and wealth and of oiling of like an oily, perfectly working machine that is just churning and humming away, doing what it does. But no,
Uh,
it just seems like we put a lot of faith into a thing that's just an innocuous number typed into just the ether, just out of thin air, that they can just be like, we are rich, we are broke. It's like, what
yeah,
the fuck?
even though
Because
none of that
in my
matters because
life, I don't
there's.
care what people do with the things I've done in my life. I am never going to people that invest in the stock market. Yeah, good. Do what you do. Play the game. Press start. Do whatever you want. I don't care. People make money. People don't. I'm not going to waste my fucking time because in my life and where I'm from, that isn't anything to offer to the real world. You don't actually produce any actual product. You don't actually. The best thing about this virus is that it's going to make people look at the world like, why don't you hedge fund pricks? Why don't you celebrities? Why don't all of you people in that sphere of that genre of the world, why don't you just go get fucked? You don't provide anything real. You don't provide anything tangible. And pretty soon
Other
the
than
people of America
entertainment.
that provide real shit are going to see that. The people that are working now, the people that are out here every day, when people tell me, hey, thanks for coming into work. Hey, I appreciate you. Hey, thanks. It's like that meme where you see and you're like, I don't like to think of myself as a hero, but it's
Yeah,
like it starts to make you feel like that. It's like, because I'm just some dumb asshole pushing fucking carts around. It's like, people don't even understand how much that the consensus is changing in America right now, where it's like, yeah, fuck celebrities, fuck boy rappers, fuck these millionaires, fuck these people that all they do is entertain us, and we act like we should pay you all the money in the heavens and the earth. No, we should just give you enough to get by, and if you entertain us, good, but fuck off with your mansions and your champagne socialist politics and telling us how to live, you goddamn fops.
hmm.
You come over here, you try to assert your stupid, childish political ways. You think you're going to change the body politic? You're going to get slapped in the mouth and told, like, dude, shut the fuck up. I have to go to work. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Nobody cares. You are a joke. You're the people in the Hunger Games. You're the people in the inner cities. You're the people from, we are the, what do they call it, the disenfranchised zones. We are the depopulated areas. We're like the City 17. We're like the places out in Hunger Games where they don't go. Like, everybody out here, they don't care about us at all. And now everyone else
Well,
is going to realize
all
that,
the real money
and it's
is
going to
made
switch.
through like military shit. That's where all the
Yeah.
real.
And for me, when I actually do a real job every day and I get paid to produce a real product and give people a service that's like, if I wasn't there right now, motherfuckers at Walmart would not have carts to put their shit in
You
to
feel like you
go and
should be
buy all
paid.
their panicky groceries. No, I don't feel I should be paid. I just feel that the things that like people like us do is real. The actual means of production are real. Whereas something that like a thought on Instagram does, or an influencer on social media, or a hedge fund manager, or someone that's like a market analyst trends guy like Soros, or a fucking person in Congress, or a politician, or a news person, or the people in Washington right now that are talking every day that they haven't stopped going to work. They've been able to talk about this and just be
Well, there are some
sitting pretty.
jobs where it's like they're needed and they do get paid more
And it
though,
is
as
going to
far as
turn,
like
if
doctors,
people are
for
smart,
instance.
and in a lot of ways I want to have faith, but it is going to turn back to the 1950s where people are like, we don't give a fuck about that part of the country. We're here doing real work. The rest of you commies can suffer and die in the winter. If you think I'm the source of your problems, I don't know you. I'm never going to meet you. I'm never going to hinder you in your life or actively try to stop you. So when the winter comes and eats you alive, like the pathetic little worm you are, that's your fault, man. That's on you.
Yeah, like as far as celebrities, I know a lot of celebrities never actually cook their own food. They just order it, which that's kind of interesting if you think about it. Because it's like, how are you gonna survive if you can't even make a meal?
People like to read these novels, they like to watch movies, they like to play video games, they like to engage in all these different forms of fiction that allow them to see and experience a dystopia or a future or a utopian ideal of like, wow, what could the world be? What could we all be? But no one ever wants to make the hard decisions. No one ever wants to make the sacrifices. Like, to have a utopia, you need to first get rid of all the parasitism. You can't have a utopia, you can't have a perfect society when you're caught in a spiral of making sure that the other asshole isn't ripping you off or lying to you or trying to fuck you over. Then
Yeah,
you're just caught in what they call a retaliation spiral, and you don't have a society of people that are working towards a common goal of the betterment of mankind. You have people that are working towards, in the modern sense of like, fuck you, got mine, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
yeah.
And
Fuck.
people will wonder forever why we'll never have a utopia. It's like, because no one has the will to act on it. No one has the will to do what is necessary. To be
And
like, well, we
everybody
need to
was like,
probably give certain people stipends not to breed anymore because we're lowering the national IQ, and eventually we're going to be a fucking third world nation when our IQ is below 80, but no one cares. So then we'll fall out of the Axis powers, and then America will probably just become the hub that it is. Through demographic change, everything is going to change as far as the ways that people legislate in Congress, in the Senate, in the House, in Washington, and all that to protect the things they hold sacred. Eventually, people on the right won't be able to do that anymore as the demographics shift more and more blue. Just look towards anybody that doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, or anybody that does but thinks that that's even possible, or they're like, oh, that won't ever happen. It's like, do you think that it's possible? A question for you out there that thinks that. Do you think that it's possible for California to ever turn red again?
No, I wouldn't say that, but also I don't know enough about this shit. I just know about video games. I just know about.
And it's not. It's that's all there is to do anymore is
But
just wait
also,
for it to go
California is
where it's
kind
gonna
of a
go.
ridiculous state if you think about it, because it's like,
That's why it will never turn red again. That's why it'll never be a Republican. What it was in the 50s and
like,
60s as to what it is now is a
because
complete.
if you really want to think about how stupid people are, I remember like way back when they did a protest on CNN. I think it was CNN that covered it. I don't really remember. It was the same thing up in Portland around where I used to live. And people were just it was around the I think it was around the time where Trump won, and they were like, we're gonna become our own country. We're fucking
Yeah,
bigger.
they were gonna secede from the Union. Which wow, whenever they decide to do it, it's not racist. But hey, when a bunch of colonials and Confederates decide to do it,
People that could
then
actually do
we
it.
got a big civil war on our hands. Man, it wouldn't even matter at all. I don't know enough about that for any, like, nobody take my word on this, but we wouldn't be affected at all, especially where I am, by California leaving. They can crumble into the fucking ocean for all anybody cares. It's a democratic shithole being driven into the ground. It's a beautiful state, a beautiful land, a beautiful geographical locale. But as to the demographic and democratic politics that have just completely driven it into the fucking ground, it doesn't matter anymore. It's a lost cause. Let it go. Let it burn. Let it die.
I mean, I don't really care about California really, because I mean that's just a bunch of satanic shit going on, worshiping.
California is Silicon Valley. It is our free speech. It's where all the games come from. It's where all the most of
So if it
academia
is
is,
Silicon Valley,
where
wouldn't that
Hollywood
mean
is.
everyone would get affected as far as
No, we wouldn't have a bunch of free market fucking run amok capitalists that are controlling our free speech where it's like because as much as libertarians want to say oh I'm a free market bro and everything will work out and less government and less regulation, it's like yeah, then you get things like Google, then you get things like Twitter, then you get things like Facebook, and it's like hey American public, do you want to
but
do a
Facebook
quick survey?
headquarters is in San Francisco, which is in California.
California, it's all from that sphere, it's all from Silicon Valley, it's all from
Yeah,
that
Google
part of the
Is
state.
San Francisco,
They
California.
sent they all have they have carte blanche over your free speech now because the only speech that actually matters anymore, the only real dialogue that's going on anymore is online, and they can censor you if you're anybody to the right of Karl Marx, if you disagree with anybody like Greta Thunberg, if you disagree with AOC, if you disagree with Hillary Clinton, if you disagree with the left, if you disagree with the mainstream narrative, you will be fucking deplatformed, unpersoned, censored, and silenced.
Hmm. I mean, like everybody that's on YouTube. If you look at like all the creators on YouTube, they're all trying
YouTube
to get
is
the
owned
fuck
by
off of
Google.
it. Oh yeah, which is in. I think their headquarters though is actually in Arizona, but
It is what they refer to in a lot of dystopian things as what we have right now is technocratic censorship. And it's like when you have technocratic control, it's like they censor your thoughts, they censor your speech, they censor your news articles. You can't look up anything that really is, if you know the stuff that you would look into that gets you put on a watch list, you can't look up that stuff on the internet because these search engines like Google, like Bing, like Jeeves, like all this will just change the results. They will put the narrative of what they want you to read, and they will censor and bury and put things
yeah,
down the
that's
memory
something I
hole.
don't like.
And whenever the lie disappears into history, it becomes truth.
If you look up like fuck black people, you'll see like black person gets killed or some shit, and then like If you look up fuck white people, it's like some shit about like should white people really be forgiven?
Yeah, you can find anything on fuck white people. All you gotta do is
If
look
you
up
look up like what,
hashtag, look on Twitter. You just look up
but if you look up
anything, find
anti-white, if
millions.
you look up anti-white narrative, it just shows up as are black people oppressed?
Yeah, that's all you'll find because again, you're going through Google. You're going through the mainstream source of this is the
Which
like
kind
it all
of
goes back to they as well because these companies, these mainstream, like the left and that whole sphere of like Silicon Valley and the news and academia and and all the colleges and the books and psychology and the literati and like everything that people take serious, that people look towards the world to be like, well, that's the people that we should listen to. It is all the left. It is all from that one headspace of thinking. It is all from that liberalist cult. And if you disagree with it, you're fucked. And when you go as deep as that they control everything and that they are the root of it all, they are involved in all of this. The news, CNN, MSNBC, YouTube, Google, Twitter, Facebook. The reason why people get banned and taken to BitChute. The reason why DLive is having
yeah,
so much
like you
trouble.
can
And the reason
say
why
fuck, like
you
you can
can't
say fuck
say
straight
anything.
white
They're the reason
people,
why
and
this
then if you say
podcast will never fucking reach anyone. They're the reason why we're probably going to, if this reaches anyone, it's going to reach some faggot out there who's sitting there waiting to be, who's actively ready to be offended. And he's looking for random podcasts because there are people that do this and they're looking for random guys on the internet that they can just report to the ADL or the SPLC or the fucking, the human rights
you
league or
think they're
the
paid to do
whatever
it?
part of the narrative.
You think
Oh
they're
man, you have
paid?
no idea. If we're getting into the information war and the culture war, there are armies of people out there that are paid
To
trolls,
get
that are
yeah,
paid to sit online and trigger and spur people like me and you and sit there and like
tell us false
disengage, like
information.
to derail threads that were talking with like good discussion and then come in and be like, fucking Jews or fucking Zogs and
Even
booze, like fuck.
though
It's like, and they're
like
there to they're there to muddy the waters. They're there to make everybody look crazy. They're there to fuck things up, and they are literal. Like in Israel, there are thousands of like you get paid to just be a paid troll online, and you go to a building where you sit online all day and you just fucking type in forums. You're just like fuck you, fucking going, fuck you. Like
yeah, I'm sure like
it's a fucking information war, man. Like it's a war.
yeah, no, 'cause that's actually something interesting. 'Cause I once made a Twitter account, and like I literally I think I posted one thing, and I was having like no one followed me 'cause I didn't really give it to any like family members or anything, but there was people Israel like people from like Islam and shit following me. I'm like, huh? How would you find? How did you find me? Like, you know, I don't know.
I just recently saw a clip of a rabbi and a Jewish guy translating for him, and they were saying that they had nothing to worry about, that the coronavirus is not for the, I forget what word they used, but they basically said it's for the goy, like it's only for the goy, like don't worry. And now they're getting attacked by it.
So, hey, did you hear about when? Because I was talking to somebody and they said they didn't hear about it. But did you hear about when Did you hear about when Kim Jong Un's army shot someone that had coronavirus in the middle of the street?
Yeah, that's why apparently they don't have any. They shot him and burned his blood on the street. Like they don't
Yeah.
have anything now. They're fine. Like they're. I mean,
Because I was looking that up
to its will, if
like a
we
few
get
days
that
ago and that was
far,
taken
it's
down.
not really
So
worth living anymore. Like it might as well basically go out in the street and try to kill that guy and get him to shoot you because that ain't a world I want to live in. But yeah, they have no problems. They have no virus now. There's nothing because they shot the guy in the face and burned his blood. Like fucking A.
yeah, I mean, at least he got it quick.
Somebody's brother, somebody's son,
Yeah.
somebody's nephew, somebody's uncle, somebody is now. out for revenge, and the cycle continues.
But
It
yet
doesn't
they
end.
and they could never get revenge on Kim Jong-un because whoever his brother that is probably works for Kim Jong-un.
A resistance could eventually, generations later, could stick a dagger in his great great grandson's throat.
Yeah, but you think of resistance in that country? Because because how
That's what I'm saying. It's and
brainwashed
people
their
that don't think it
country
won't get to
is.
that point here because we're just as brainwashed as them. I love how people think we're not exactly like them. Like, you think any of the news that you know anything about outside of the world? Have you ever been to Germany? You ever been to Europe? You ever been to France? You ever been anywhere besides America or Canada? So how are you going to believe any of it? How do you think that we're not just propagandized little denizens of a dystopia where they tell us exactly that the rest of the world is dangerous. Don't go out there. Stay here. We'll keep you safe. Give us your rights. Don't have children. There's disease everywhere. I don't believe at this point at all anything really anymore. William Casey is the only one I believe.
Here's William Casey.
There's a guy from the CIA. He had a quote. Basically said, once our disinformation program is complete, the American public will question everything they
So he
know to be
admitted
true.
that. Is he still in it?
No, he's dead, man. He died in like 1952, I think.
Uh, how'd he die? Do you know?
As an old man, he just had a good life. He lived a good, long life and died, probably, in America
Uh,
in its fucking prime.
so what time did he
Fucking
die, would
raw.
you say?
Can't really hate him. He was not wrong. But he was a dick.
He
Because he
did
was
admit
right.
he did admit though to having a disinformation program, which is interesting.
They admit to everything. Nobody cares. They admit to everything. The CIA has admitted to being involved with child trafficking. The FBI has admitted to child trafficking to blackmail world leaders. Everything has been declassified from electric Kool-Aid acid tests to the so many things that it doesn't even matter anymore. I don't care anymore because no one cares. The world is going to eventually get to, and for all the people that are young out there, for the people that are like 13, you are going to experience the brunt of the fall of America. I'm going to be experiencing right on the cusp, probably as I'm dying as an old man. You people are going to be like right in your prime in this Marxist shithole. Because it's going to take place over the next 50 to 100 years. It's nothing that's going to be drastic or dire or like the end of the world, but it's these subtle, just little
It's the
cuts, just
subtlety of it.
small. It's the death by 1,000 cuts. It's attrition. It's a world falling to ruin, just piece by piece, year by year, policy by policy,
It's painful
decade by
too,
decade.
because it's like you want. It's like there's no way to fix it, because the problem with how brainwashed Americans are compared to like Kim Jong-un and how he has them brainwashed is that Americans are brainwashed in a way that they really can't realistically be a revolt, because what are you revolting against? With Kim Jong-un, the difference is uh, the the differences with them is like they they have something to be pissed off about. They have something legitimate. We kind of don't. We don't
Yeah, ever
have.
since 9/11, we've had something to be pissed off about, but people weren't going to do anything
But it's
then, and
not
I
as
was only
legitimate as like.
19 years ago.
It's not as legitimate as oppressing and
Yeah, it's very legitimate because, again, for all you younger viewers out there that don't understand how much 9/11 fucked you up the ass with the Patriot Act, with the right to surveil you and spy on you, with the right to basically do what they couldn't do before without a warrant, without a fucking, like, they can't know what, like, everything from social security numbers to credit cards were never around in like the 50s and going up through a little bit of the early 60s. My grandma remembers a time where there weren't social security numbers, where it wasn't a way to track you, a way to have you on file, a way to have you. The world has already been a dystopia. The world has already been moving more and more towards what they want it to be.
hold up, hold up, hold up. So here's what I mean though by when I say this is that so if Kim Jong Un, okay, that motherfucker shooting mother in the middle of the street, we're
They
not
killed
doing that yet.
10,000 people in broad goddamn daylight. They killed 10,000 tax-paying, hard-working Americans. People jumped from the buildings to their fucking
But that was
ultimate
that
deaths and
America that
demises.
did that
They
was.
filmed them on the fucking news. They
Oh,
filmed people jumping to their deaths on the news. People that went out into the street were told by firemen to go back up into the offices. It's safer up there. Right before, hours before the buildings collapsed. They
hmm.
murdered 10,000
Wait, so
Americans.
you're telling
Fucking
me is that
15,000 more probably in the coming years that died of the cancer and the exposure they got from the asbestos and the radiated, like all the debris that was then taken off to China and built into parking lots and shit.
hmm.
Basically, all the evidence that if you wanted to look into that stuff for super weapon or some shit, that all the things that they say that there was the weird things like the concrete girders disintegrating and floating up into the air and something about, and it's been so many years. It's been in all
Wait,
this
so do you
useless
think
shit
it
because
was
nobody
an in
cares.
so do you think it's like it was 100% an inside job by the
Yeah, man, there's
Americans?
plenty of evidence out there. If you get into the Odigo messaging app, if you get into Larry Silverstein being told not to go in and have breakfast at the uh, Skies Over the World, or I forget the name of the restaurant, but it was a restaurant that him and his granddaughter would have breakfast at every single fucking morning in his building,
They
that
told
he
him
took
not
out an
to that
$11
day?
million insurance policy 6 months before on the building. He took out an $11 million insurance policy. So that's also another thing. Fucking, there were dancing Israelis in, you can look this up. There were dancing Israelis at either the airport or around the area that were like basically told that we were sent here to document the event. But again, this is a lot of the shit you're not allowed to talk about.
Hmm. Interesting.
Israelis were told on a lot of, they had this thing called the Odigo messaging app. They were told like don't come into work that day, like the ones that worked in New York and the ones that worked in like the business sector around that area.
So, hmm.
If it
Odigo
was a
messaging.
coordinated attack on American soil by a hostile Axis power that we're beholden to, all I'm saying is nobody gave a fuck. No one gives a fuck. They're going to take all your rights. They're going to step on your
See,
throat when your
cause
family is gone, and you're
see,
going to do nothing about it.
'cause that's the
They
thing.
own you.
Like,
They own me. They own us.
huh? But yet, you see, the only reason why I can agree with that, but at the same time I can't for one reason. And like
Then
one,
you're a dystopian. Then
I
you have no spine left. If you think that it's not horrific that they murdered
no, I do.
10,000 men and women, adults, people that were just, they had lives, they had aspirations, they had dreams. They're fucking gone. They're a footnote in history. They are a season finale back in season 4 of fucking eternity. They're
No,
gone.
it's just I just don't. It's not that I don't like.
And since then, we have renewed the Patriot Act countless times. We have given up more and more of our liberties. We now have fucking TSA at the goddamn airports that stick their hands and touch your
So
genitalia
you're
and
really
reach
saying
inside your ass crack.
that they never took those extra precautions? You see, I don't know about this stuff because I wasn't born around that time, so it's different for me.
Yeah, again, you
I
don't
don't.
know, and you're talking about it as if like you have no idea the gravity of what 9/11 did to this country, of that we never came back from it, of that we are, it moved us towards more on the board to an authoritarian police state where if you question the government, if you question anything, if you look up
It's all
questionable
a
things, if you are,
conspiracy.
you're on a watch list, you're a terrorist, you are someone to be taken out, you're the squeaky wheel.
Hmm. And was this around the time when they were doing their? So, alright, do you know the times of when that guy said the disinformation program? Do you know the timing of that?
That was like in the 40s, man. That was like the CIA was already setting all this up back in the 30s and 40s.
Well, then, yeah, that would completely make sense that they would have done that. Then that would, if that's the case, then 9/11 is completely, cause
My
yeah,
whole thing
that
is no
would make
matter what
sense.
happened, all I know that happened in my physical reality of being
Is that
alive and a man
that was a
is
big
that they
fuck you?
murdered 10,000 people in broad daylight, 10,000 Americans on American soil, and no one cares. No one even seems to understand the gravity of how much my generation watched that many people die on national television, live on national TV, and nothing ever got better.
Yeah, sucks, man. I mean, I've heard some of the stories, but it's like I don't know, cause didn't they?
it was like something out of, I mean, even as a boy, I can remember it was like you didn't even know what you were looking at. It was just like you knew that this is real.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, I would
Whether or
say.
not the planes were real, whether or not it was squibs, whether or not there's so many theories to go into of what people think happened. Doesn't matter what happened. What matters is that you're never going to know what happens, which brings us back around to a perfect segue of with this coronavirus thing, you're never
It's
going to know what happened. You're only going to know that the world is going to change. And they're
yeah,
going to
you're
take more
never.
of your liberties away. They're going to take more of your rights away because people are going to let them, because people are scared, and people want the government to protect them.
Yeah, so is it just people wanting protection from the government, or is it, or like, okay,
It's
so
people wanting protection from the boogeyman, from the thing they always have to give you. In the 1930s and the 40s and the 50s, it was nuclear war. Through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, it was the Reds, it was the commies. In the 90s and the 80s and the fucking 2000s, it was like Y2K and AI is going to take over the fucking world and we're all going to die and everything. And then it started to come into the early aughts, and we get into the early aughts with 2000 and onward to like 2005 and 8 and 9. And then we get into like viruses and chemical warfare, and Al Qaeda is gonna fucking kill us, and terrorism is the new terrorism is in vogue, and now we're in like 2020, and now it's gonna be the bug, now it's gonna be viruses, now it's gonna be. They always have to provide the populace with a boogeyman. They always have to provide you something to hide
and
from, to
yet
be
there's
afraid from, to need the government, to need Big Brother to protect you, to tower over you like a god, like a force that no foreign horde could stand against. They will crash against the rocks of his magnificence.
yeah, that would make
That's how they
sense.
want you to look at the government. They want you to look at the government as God. They want you to. They want the government to be your God.
I don't see them as God. I see them. I don't know, but I
You're in the
feel like
minority, my friend.
I don't see them as God because it's like they can't because there are other powers. There are other
Yeah,
powers that
not to scare people that don't want to die, that they just want to be protected.
like there are other powers. Like even if United States, even though they do have some of the strongest ships, the strongest shit, if all the countries, if every single country just one day just said fuck you, like,
Yeah, they're not going to
but
because
they're
they're not us.
not.
They're too busy squabbling in the third world over
Yeah.
fucking inbreeding or racial
Oh yeah,
bigotry or
no,
whatever Israel
there's
and
too much
Palestine are
to care
doing or
about to not to just do
whatever
that. But if they
fucking
did,
warlord is ravaging the area at this point, or fucking like people that want to talk all the shit about America. It's like we still have one of the best running systems. That's why once it goes off the cliff, people don't understand that it's like you
everyone's gonna
it's going to be generations of your posterity just running around in
and
the
how do you
ruins of the
rebuild
civilization trying to get back to the start.
and how do you rebuild off of a fucked society, especially when we're this far in and we've already probably used all the natural resources. Or not
The
all.
only way to rebuild is for everything to collapse. You have to wipe the board clean so you can start over with a new system, whether that be proprietarianism, whether that be libertarianism, or these people that want to try socialism or communism or fucking. Even though there really isn't any real communism because everybody would still have private property, so it will only ever really be socialism.
Hmm. I don't know. This is interesting. I'm curious, and I don't know. I'm curious to see how everything goes out, but at the same time, I'm not gonna make a fucking difference. Not. Do you think you're gonna make a difference?
In my family's life, yeah, but that's the only thing you can make a difference in
Yeah, you,
is your day-to-day life. You can get a job, do that job, get paid for it, actually provide something to the world rather than make work, which a lot of people are going to find after this that the majority of Americans don't actually provide anything to the economy.
make more for the economy, right? Am I correct?
Because that's what whole socialism, when they want to turn over the means of production from the working, from the actual labor force that actually produces them and turn it all over to the
Well, what
government.
about all the people that? What about? See, like how? I have a feeling one day we're all just gonna get replaced by synths and AIs and fucking. I don't know,
Well, we
cause
are in a sense demographically. We're going to get replaced by immigrants, by third world nations as they try to. That's why they want. That's why the left. That's why Democrats want mass immigration. That's why they want open borders. Because if you
cause they
won't
aren't
vote for
taught how
their
to think.
socialist, progressive, authoritarian policies, they'll immigrate someone in here and replace you, and they'll get someone who will.
Yeah, cause they don't really care about.
That's why
They
you
live
have
in third
the
world.
whole phenomena of cultural Marxism leading into the anti-white narrative, leading into mass immigration, leading into white flight, leading into demographic change, leading into an ultimate shift in America being a dystopia, just a blue Marxist fucking shithole where everyone is a victim and everyone is a parasite. And if you're trying to do anything in that country, you are going to be trying to shake off a million people off your bootstraps.
I mean, yeah. Like, but I can't do anything. I don't think you could. I mean, you can make a difference to the people around you, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's all you can do. And if you're not doing that, you're fucking yourself.
You can make a
All you can
difference to
do
your own life. You
is
can, health
make a difference.
matters. You can make,
Clean your room, protect your health. Health is wealth, especially in an apocalypse. If you're a healthy man, you're a wealthy man.
yeah, it's very much. But even though they're even shutting down gyms and shit, so it's gonna be hard to. You're gonna need to do out home shit, but
I want everybody alone and sectioned off. Then all you'll have is your porn, and your games,
yeah, no,
and your
I
social media.
fucking like Pornhub, right? They changed Pornhub to Stay Home Hub.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's all just normalized now as we slip further and further into the abyss.
I think on that note, I think we should end it in the episode. Uh, Thank you for anyone that was watching. Please make sure to leave a like for the algorithm. Anything you want to say before we end it?
Everything that we think you'll ever know about this thing, we won't, but you can be assured that probably three things are happening right now. People are getting robbed blind, people are getting raped and murdered, you will ever be, no matter how hard you work, because that's just how it is. And it's a big club, none of us are in.
Okay. Not Thank you for anyone that's watching though. I really do appreciate it. Even though at the same time I don't really care because this is just to document my conversations.